Herbert Morrison Comprehensive High and defending champions Rusea's High. Welcome to Jarrett Park, the now famous Jarrett Park, the home of many top sporting activities here in Western Jamaica. And this afternoon it will feature yet another outstanding sporting event. Of course, schoolboy soccer being an institution in itself. And this afternoon we're about to witness the Dacosta Cup final between defending champions Rusea's High and first-time finalist Herbert Morrison Comprehensive High School. Herbert Morrison will be playing in the brown and beige outfit, and Rusea's High, their blue shorts and striped blue and gold jerseys. Rusea's takes the kick off, and as you see already, snappy short passing between the forwards. And already we're seeing the signs of an entertaining final here at Jarrett Park. The man in the middle this afternoon is Errol Moody, the referee. And this is the first time that Herbert Morrison is making it to the final. As we look at the Rusea's lineup, Leroy Foster, the captain, Aaron Lawrence, Sheldon Moore, Mark Wilson, Fabian Lawrence, Steve Malcolm, Franklin Shim, Philip Wong, Devon Morgan, Easton Smith, and Roxroy Jackson. For Herbert Morrison, David Rose, the captain, Andrew Nemard, Barrington McLennan, Owen England, Andrew Morris, Keith Tomlinson, Garfield Anderson, Cornel Carr, Hector Wright, Winston Henry, and Milne Scarlett. So those are the starting lineups of both teams, and I think we're in for a treat this afternoon. Herbert Morrison now trying to build an attack, and it's a free kick awarded by Errol Moody. This is floating dangerously into the Rusea's area. This could be dangerous, and cleared just in time. And now Herbert Morrison come away once again, and in possession now. Garfield Anderson loses that ball, and it goes into touch for a throw-in. Incidentally, in fact, it's an infringement, and so Rusea's gets the free kick just at the half line. Left footer from the left back seems to be Sheldon Moore, and that advantage comes to naught, and Herbert Morrison with a free kick. Plays it to the right back, McLennan trying to find Tomlinson, and Carr up front. The hard working Hector Wright is also a very dangerous player for Herbert Morrison, trying to win that ball, and no doubt that is a foul against Rusea's. So here comes a free kick for Rusea's at a very dangerous point, and it will be taken by Philip Wong. Here comes a kick, floated over, headed out by the Herbert Morrison defense as Barrington McLennan gets that away. And now Rusea's trying to build an attack, and one gets the impression that you'll be seeing attacks and counter-attacks because of the competitive edge in this match. The teams are evenly matched. Rusea's has made it to the final. Well, this is their fourth final in the last 5 years. And if you remember last year, they won all 4 major titles in schoolboy football. In 8 years of the Dacosta Cup competition, this is the first time in the final for Herbert Morrison Comprehensive. I dare say that they would certainly like to take the cup home. Would be a nice present, this being their 10th anniversary. And they're trying to build an attack and at the same time stave off the Rusea's pressure. A massive crowd here at Jarrett Park, and a lot of people outside of the ground that we can find inside. Here comes an attack by Herbert Morrison. This could be dangerous. Finally cleared by Rusea's, and they come away with an attack now. So that was a fine build-up by Herbert Morrison that time, but the finishing touch was lacking. Rusea's trying to build an attack, broken up by Herbert Morrison. Rusea's still in possession, cleared by the Herbert Morrison midfield, and now they come away. That's trying to go it alone. Here comes a chance for Herbert Morrison, a shot and goal, but the Rusea's defense was in attendance, and it goes into touch what seems to be a goal kick. Now that was dangerous for Rusea's because that was a bad step up on their defense and allowed for Herbert Morrison. I think it was Winston Henry to break away and almost put Herbert Morrison in front. I'm almost sure that the Rusea's coach would not be pleased at all. Corner kick to be taken. Herbert Morrison. The heads go up, headed out by, seems to be Mark Wilson for Rusea. Still in the danger zone. Rusea not finally clearing the ball as yet. Herbert Morrison in possession. The ball is going about aimlessly at this point in time, and it finally goes into touch for a throw-in. I think it will be to Herbert Morrison. In fact, it was an infringement, and so quickly taken by Rusea. Build up by Rusea, and the bounce of the ball eluded the Rusea forward that time, and that was Rusea Jackson. But I think Rusea earned for themselves a throw-in, it might appear. That's a very dangerous spot, way down deep inside their own half, and I'm almost sure that this throw will be a long one. Here comes the throw for Rusea, headed over in, still inside the area, headed up by the Herbert Morrison defense, but only as far as Jackson for Rusea, headed out, and finally cleared by the midfield for Herbert Morrison, and that's Cornel Carr. But Rusea come away with it once again on the right wing. And now we see for Rusea's captain Leroy Foster, certainly one of the more outstanding youth players around, and he will certainly have a lot to defend on his performance if Rusea is to retain the Dacosta Cup this year. Throw into Rusea. Built up by Herbert Morrison. Herbert Morrison in possession. Garfield Anderson gets it to Hector Wright. Wright tries to find Million Scarlett on the right flank, but cleared by the Rusea's defense. Long kick upfield for Herbert Morrison, trying to find Winston Henry. Attack not broken up by Rusea. Finally it has. Here comes Rusea with an attack. Broken up by the Herbert Morrison defense. Referee Errol Moody certainly having this match under control, and he's a very experienced referee, so I don't think football fans would expect less than good control of the game from Errol Moody at this stage. As you might notice, the attacks are swinging from end to end, and this is because of the evenness between the two teams. Early in the season, Rusea beat Herbert Morrison 1-0, and the second time they met, they drew 0-0. So I think Rusea would want to confirm their superiority over Herbert Morrison here, as well as Herbert Morrison would like to avenge that defeat earlier in the season. Muri awards a free kick to Rusea. And it will be a throw-in now to Rusea. That was a long kick upfield and headed into touch for a throw-in. Quickly to run through the Rusea's team once again, the captain Leroy Foster, and he has with him Aaron Lawrence in goal, Sheldon Moore, Mark Wilson, Fabian Lawrence, Steve Malcolm, Franklin Chim, Philip Wong, Devon Morgan, Easton Smith, and Rusea Jackson. For Herbert Morrison in goal, Andrew Nemard. We have with him David Rose, the captain, Barrington McLennan, Owen England, Andrew Morris, Keith Tomlinson, Garfield Anderson, Cornel Carr, Hector Wright, Winston Henry, and Milne Scarlett. Here comes Rusea with another attack, and this could be, well, I don't think Easton Smith managed to control that ball. He was trying to head it beyond Barrington McKinnon, but he was not successful. But Rusea still in possession. Throw-in taken. Finds Nian Scarlett, and I think this would be another throw-in for Rusea, or is it an infringement? As David Rose, really playing well for Herbert Morrison. He got that ball into touch for the throw-in. In fact, it will be, as I suspected, an infringement. Rusea's forward heavily tackled. Herbert Morrison breaking away now, and the hard-working Hector Wright puts it inside, still in possession, gets it to his man, but broken up by Rusea. We're seeing a set of lads here who are really playing very well, and it all goes well for Jamaica's football in the future. Cleared by the Herbert Morrison defense. In goal for Herbert Morrison, Andrew Nemard, and I'm almost sure that he will be called on to make a number of saves this afternoon. We just judge from the performance of Rusea throughout the season and over the last couple of years. Here comes a free kick by Herbert Morrison. The heads go up, headed up by the defender. Here comes a chance for Herbert Morrison inside Rusea's half. A shot that's wide and aimless, and it might just roll into touch for a goal kick. It does so now, so a goal kick to Rusea. That was a good attempt by the number 7 for Herbert Morrison. That's Hector Wright. He's certainly a main force in the build-ups of Herbert Morrison, and as I said at the top of the program, he is one that they are looking forward to as a man who will really generate and build up the midfield for Herbert Morrison. And on the other side of the coin, Rusea will depend a lot on Leroy Foster. So the scores at this time, it's still Rusea 0 and Herbert Morrison 0, as you have been watching. Both teams are hunting for the opening goal. Infringement against Rusea there, as Scarlett was fouled. Chance for Herbert Morrison. Good stop by goalkeeper Andrew. Well, that was Aaron Lawrence for Rusea. The cross came in, and it was a reflex push that time by Aaron Lawrence of Rusea. Now that was an excellent cross by the Herbert Morrison right winger, and that brought off a fine save by Aaron Lawrence for Rusea. Here comes another attack. Hector Wright has it on the left wing. Rusea now under siege from Herbert Morrison. Here comes a header right across. This could be dangerous for Rusea. Herbert Morrison still in possession, beats his man trying to get the cross in, and it is put in touch for a corner kick, I think it will be. And that was a sound attack by Herbert Morrison. Crowd is reacting and cheering. A vociferous crowd here at Gerrard Park. A massive crowd inside the Gerrard Park ground is packed, and outside too packed up in the hills. And it is really a sight to see. Here comes a corner kick by Herbert Morrison. Pressuring defending champions Rusea. Here comes the kick. The heads go up. Out by the Rusea defense. Here comes the shot. Not directed properly, no power either. Rusea now have it under control and finally cleared. Controlled by a Herbert Morrison player, they still have it. Herbert Morrison beats one, beats two, now will get it across to Milne Scarlett, has it, gets it inside, trying to find Cornel Carr and cleared by the Rusea's defense. Here comes the chance for Rusea. This could be dangerous. A shot and just taken off the line by Herbert Morrison. What a chance for Rusea to go in front into the Dacosta Cup final. The shot came in, the goalkeeper was beaten, but the defender, I think it is David Rose, he was there and he took it off the line. So Rusea is almost in front. Look at it once again, the goalkeeper beaten, a well-struck shot. It did not have the power on it, and I think it was the power that denied Rusea the opening goal in the 1986 Dacosta Cup final. I think Herbert Morrison would want to lift their hats off to that defender. He stopped that ball on the line when Rusea thought it was home. But not daunted, here comes Herbert Morrison trying to build another attack. Rusea is almost inspired by that near goal. Tries to dominate the midfield. Philip Wong got his left foot in there. But referee Moody didn't stop the play. It's still Herbert Morrison 0. Rusea's 0, and this is the 1986 Dacosta Cup final. Well, as I suspected that he would, I was a little bit surprised that it wasn't a little bit more prompter. But he has awarded a free kick to Herbert Morrison. Infringement committed by Philip Wong of Rusea. Headed out by the Rusea defense. Far enough, and Wong having an outstanding game. He's a hard worker. But Herbert Morrison still in control midway Rusea's half. Hector Wright gets it on the left wing to Scarlett, broken up by the Rusea's defense, and this will go into touch for a throw-in to Rusea's. Throw taken quickly, finds Jackson of Rusea's, puts it inside. The goalkeeper Andrew Nemard is there for Herbert Morrison and gets another attack going. Not a particularly good throw. Philip Wong has it for Rusea's. Tried to change the direction of play, but it wasn't a good kick, and Herbert Morrison still in control, climbing high, finds his man. Herbert Morrison building an attack. This is a good ball play by Herbert Morrison. Will he get the cross in? Beats his man nicely, and that's definitely a foul, no doubt about it. Herbert Morrison now applying the pressure to Rusea, and a booking. That was a blatant foul. And referee Earl Moody put in the brakes on this match. Promptly book Rusea's number 13. Match, I certainly hope it's the last, but at this stage it's Herbert Morrison 0, Rusea's 0. Free kick to be taken. Could this result in a goal? The kick comes over, the heads go up, headed out by Rusea's. And an infringement against Herbert Morrison, I think, offside, and it will be a free kick to Rusea. Wong is really having an outstanding game for Rusea. You saw him beating his man nicely there, but with a bit of balance when he tried to make the final pass. Herbert Morrison building another attack from midfield. Comes Herbert Morrison through the Rusea's defense. Herbert Morrison in control. Gets the cross in, and a handball against Rusea. trying to build their wall. Kick at a very dangerous point. Here comes a kick high and just over the crossbar. A well-directed kick, but again just a little bit too much height. A lot of flair in the free kick of Herbert Morrison, well coordinated, but gained just a bit too much height and went over the crossbar. So still the deadlock enforced. Herbert Morrison 0, Rusea's 0, and we're still awaiting the first goal of the 1986 Dacosta Cup final. Here's a chance for Rusea. The cross comes over high and a jump out of his hand, and he retrieves it and does it in spectacular style too. So goalkeeper Andrew Nemard called upon to make another fine save, and he really did it in spectacular fashion. After losing a grip on the ball, here comes an attack by Herbert Morrison. Could this be Hector Wright being hassled by the defender, still in control? Still in possession, still has it. Has tried to do a little bit too much, but still he earns a free kick to his team. Number 7 it is, I think, Hector Wright, brought down after a fine play, just held possession too long, and there you just saw what I'm talking about. The crowd is all over. Here's a chance, not good, just blocked by the goalkeeper for Rusea's Aaron Lawrence. I believe that instead of Lawrence stopping that ball, the ball crashed into him, and I don't think he knew too much about that. So Herbert Morrison once again coming extremely close to going in front. But referee Earl Moody had in fact blown the whistle, so he had seen an infringement. So the possibility is that even if that ball had gone in, it might have been ruled a no-goal. Just at the halfway line, Rusea's losing possession to Herbert Morrison, trying to build an attack. Here's a shot and goal, a good one, and just going, missing the right upright. A good shot that time from, seems to be Hector Wright. It had goalkeeper Aaron Lawrence really groping for that ball. I believe he lost his footing too, and just missing the right upright. Here comes Herbert Morrison once again. Finds his men nicely. This could be dangerous for Rusea. The defense got in there before. Herbert Morrison still in possession. Herbert Morrison still in possession. Here's the square. Here's a shot by Herbert Morrison, high and hard. Not in control of that shot. And it goes into touch. That was number 7, Hector Wright. It goes into touch for a goal kick to Rusea's. Wright certainly stamping his dominance in the midfield at this match for Herbert Morrison, and definitely a major factor for them. So we see referee Errol Moody bringing a halt to the first half of the 1986 Dacosta Cup final with the score Herbert Morrison 0, Rusea's 0, and it has certainly been an exciting first half. Look at one of the marching bands from the Montego Bay area. I think I should allow you to enjoy. Okay, then start of the second half of the 1986 Dacosta Cup final between Herbert Morrison playing in the beige and brown outfit, Rusea's in the gold and blue outfit. Rusea's in the blue shorts, gold and blue striped jerseys. Almost, well, similar colors to the Brazilian team. And immediately to the start of the second half, we see a little bit more urgency into the play of the team, seeking desperately that goal that could prove the winning goal. Whichever team scores it first, I would put my neck on the line here and say that one goal will decide the Dacosta Cup final. If you get two, it might be one from each. So this seems to be a corner kick to Herbert Morrison, now playing from right to left on your screen, and Rusea's from left to right. So, corner kick to Herbert Morrison, picking up where they left off in the first half. It was an even half, really. Teams battled for supremacy, but none was able to really gain the ascendancy as attacks filtered from the midfield of both teams, and they were broken up most of the times, and then quickly one would get a counter-attack. Here comes a long kick upfield for Rusea's. Herbert Morrison. Rusea's trying to move forward. Here comes an attack by Rusea's, gets it inside. Herbert Morrison trying to clear a bad miss that time and finally put out. That certainly would have been dangerous for Herbert Morrison. Gets it back to goalkeeper Andrew Nemard for Herbert Morrison. He certainly hasn't been called upon to make too many saves in this match in the mold of Aaron Lawrence. So Rusea's trying to clear. Herbert Morrison having the edge at this time in the second half. This ball inside, cleared by the Rusea's defense. That would have spelled trouble and danger for Rusea's. A header inside by Keith Tomlinson of Herbert Morrison, and it goes to goalkeeper Aaron Lawrence of Rusea's. In fact, it's an infringement. It could have been offside. Here comes a kick by Rusea's. Not a good one. And Rusea is lucky to still be in possession. Trying to find Roxroy Jackson and Easton Smith, the two forwards for Rusea's. This one will go into touch for the throw-in to Rusea's. Still, it's Herbert Morrison nil, Rusea's nil in the 1986 Dacosta Cup final. Schoolboy soccer sponsored by Denowin Geddes, certainly making a big impact on schoolboy soccer. And I think the Intersecondary School Sports Association, through the hard-working Secretary Fred Green, very pleased about the support of Denowin Geddes. Free kick to Rusea, a thunderous 1-2, crashed into the wall and rebounded into play. Rusea still in possession. Attack broken up by Herbert Morrison and caught in the offside trap. Kick quickly taken by Herbert Morrison. Trying to build an attack, they have it. Trying just a bit too hard to beat his man. And Herbert Morrison still in control. Here comes an attack by Herbert Morrison. That will go into touch for the goal kick. That was a tackle by Philip Wong of Rusea's. Not seen too much of him in the second half, but corner kick to Herbert Morrison, playing in their brown shorts and beige and brown jersey, or almost red shorts. Rusea's in their blue shorts and gold and blue stripes. Certainly has stood out here at Jard Park. Too much curve in that corner kick, and it went into the top of the netting. And no danger there for goalkeeper Aaron Lawrence. Clearly an infringement there. The foot raised just a bit too high. To Herbert, we see, is that a Herbert Morrison play? Yes, it is, on the ground. I guess he's all right at this time. Free kick taken by Rusea. Here comes an attack by Herbert Morrison, finally broke up by Rusea's defense. Still Rusea, broken up by Herbert Morrison. That was a fine attempt by Rusea to build an attack of their own, but I don't think they got by the half line. Here comes Rusea trying to get inside, and the Herbert Morrison defense so assured. Panic button was held well down, and they took control of matters. Free kick in a very dangerous place for Herbert Morrison. The free kick to be taken by Philip Wong, it seems like, yes. This could be dangerous for Herbert Morrison, a touch-and-go situation. Here comes the kick. The heads go up, out by the Herbert Morrison defense. Rusea regains possession, a shot blocked by the Herbert Morrison defense, and it goes into touch for a throw-in to Rusea. Still, Rusea 0, Herbert Morrison 0. Herbert Morrison managing to keep that one inside. That was a close shave for them. A lot of stoppages at this stage of the match as the play got a bit physical. Comes the header, and well held by the Herbert Morrison goalkeeper Andrew Nemard. It wasn't really a tester, but it was one that tested his alertness, because he certainly hasn't been called upon to make too many greater saves so far in this match. Really neither has Aaron Lawrence of Rusea, but he let a ball slip out of his hand earlier and collected the rebound, but he did it in such spectacular fashion that one could be easy to deceive in the category of good goalkeeping. Nonetheless, he's doing an efficient job, and that is of keeping the ball and getting between those two sticks. Here comes an attack by Herbert Morrison, but outsped by the two Rusea defenders. What a poor kick that time by Rusea. Unfortunately for him, didn't get to any of the Herbert Morrison forwards. Possibly if Hector Wright was there, that could have been dangerous for Rusea. Rusea is then under severe pressure to retain one of their four titles. It's Football Soccer this year. Coming in, Herbert Morrison, this could be dangerous, gets inside, and just over the crossbar. Oh, unbelievable. That was really hard running that time. He got it in. He beat the goalkeeper. That's Aaron Lawrence. And just over the crossbar was it Winston Henry. And he put it over the crossbar. A fine run by Scarlett of Herbert Morrison. He worked. He fought very hard. He got it inside. Beat goalkeeper Aaron Lawrence. And it was just put over the crossbar. Another close shave by Rusea. And we haven't seen many shots to goal in this match, but of the very few dangerous attacks that have been built up, in total, the dangerous ones appear to have come from Herbert Morrison. Rusea's defense having a bit of problem to clear the ball. They have finally done so, breaking away two down the right wing. Cleared by or forced to take a pull by the Herbert Morrison defense. Still searching for the first goal in the 1986 Dacosta Cup final between Herbert Morrison Comprehensive High School, their first final in 8 years of Dacosta Cup action. This is their 10th anniversary, and I'm almost sure that Coach Maurice Whiteley would love them to take home the cup this year. Rusea won it last year. They have been to the finals 4 of the last 5 Dacosta Cup finals, certainly stamping their dominance in rural area schoolboy football. And it goes into touch for a goal kick to Herbert Morrison. Here comes the kick. The attack broken by Rusea could be dangerous. He's still in possession, but if you notice the Herbert Morrison players, there's always an extra man in the back to assist. And certainly they are communicating. And at this level, certainly it's a good approach by the schoolboys. Well, this match, if you really look at it closely, it could rank in the mold of a major league game. The lads are really sturdily built and really demonstrating good soccer skills. A good panoramic view there of the crowd that's inside and outside of the Jared Powell ground. And you get this kind of support here whenever you have a big sporting event. Free kick to be taken by Herbert Morrison. The score is still Herbert Morrison 0, Rusea 0. Herbert Morrison playing from right to left, headed up by the Rusea's defense. The players are getting a little bit tense and nervous now as they come towards the end. Here's a chance for Herbert Morrison, broken up by the Rusea's defense, and just in time too. I dare say that could have been the goal that separates both teams. That was not to be. Herbert Morrison still firing away, but Rusea's come away with it. Once again, trying to build an attack on the left wing, broken up by the Herbert Morrison defense. Match is now getting at an interesting point because the teams realize that time is certainly running out, desperately seeking the winning goal. Not quite sure if they all want to see the extra time and the nerve-wracking penalty kicks. So they're now searching for that goal, and you can literally feel it. Here comes Herbert Morrison, broken up by Rusea, in possession, making an attack on the right, on the left wing. Philip Wong playing an integral part. Here comes Rusea, still in possession. Bad mistimed kick that time on the left wing for Rusea. That could have been Devon Morgan. And broken up by Herbert Morrison. Here comes the throw for Rusea. Apparently it's going to be an awfully long one. Trying to break the deadlock. It's certainly a long throw headed up by Herbert Morrison. Finally cleared by David Rose. That could have been their captain. Headed back in by Rusea. It's the attacks are swinging from end to end as they desperately seek to break this deadlock. a long kick from way out and goes calmly to goalkeeper Andrew Nemard for Herbert Morrison. Still in possession, trying to build an attack. Herbert Morrison is. Have it now. Can't get by Sheldon Moore of Rusea, who is certainly having a good game. Herbert Morrison put that ball into touch for the throw-in to Rusea. Here comes Herbert Morrison once again, trying to build their attack from up front. This could be dangerous. Herbert Morrison, man clear on the right side. This could be dangerous. Brought down. And we might be seeing a free kick here. Let's just await the referee's decision. Certainly a free kick at a very dangerous point for Rusea. And let's see what Herbert Morrison does with this. A dangerous spot. The ball with 3 Rusea players. Big crowd in the background waiting to what will become of this free kick. This could be dangerous for Rusea. Here comes the kick. Comes over and just cleared. What a dangerous situation for Rusea it was. Once again, the Herbert Morrison forward almost got there. Apparently it's Hector Wright, but in the end it's an infringement, as he could have been called for pushing. So Rusea's come away with a free kick as the teams press for the winning goal. And at this stage, as I said earlier, much earlier on, a single goal could separate the teams towards the end. And if we get 2 goals, I doubt it will come from one team. It will be one from each. Herbert Morrison 0, Rusea's 0. This is the 1986 Dacosta Cup final. Schoolboy soccer sponsored by Denewin Geddes. Rusea in possession, trying to build an attack on the left wing. Here comes Rusea. This could be dangerous for Herbert Morrison. Rusea has it. Foster puts it inside and just headed inside. Here's a chance for Rusea and headed out by David Rose. Rusea once again blocked by the Herbert Morrison defense and finally put into touch for, well, it doesn't. Rusea collects on the left wing, puts it back inside, and goalkeeper Andrew Nemard certainly had a nerve-wracking time just now. But here comes Herbert Morrison with a quick counter-attack. You will be seeing this towards the end, of back heel, but it didn't work. I think his player misread him there. Rusea trying to build an attack once again and cleared into touch for a throw-in to Rusea. Herbert Morrison quickly countered there, but that fine back heel pass wasn't read. And in the end, we saw Rusea, a very sharp Rusea counter-attack broken up by Herbert Morrison. This will be a free kick for Herbert Morrison. Long kick upfield, trying to find on the right wing. Leon Scarlett puts it inside. This could be dangerous for Rusea. The shot not blocked. Hector Wright. Right, yes! Herbert Morrison has scored. And this could be the goal that makes a difference in the Dacosta Cup final. Wright missed the first time, and with 4 or 5 Rusea defenders there, they allowed Wright to latch onto that ball once again. It deflected from the Rusea defender and into the back of the net. In the 70th minute it is. Let's take a look at it once again. Wright tried his shot, he mistimed it, and allowed by 5 defenders to get in a second chance. And it deflected from the Rusea defender, beat goalkeeper Aaron Lawrence, and that's the first goal in the final. Could be the last. It's Herbert Morrison 1, Rusea 0, and you can hear the loud cheering building up around Jarrett Park. The firecrackers are going.